Thank you. You may be seated. Got it right this time. Thank you very much, Minister. At this point, I will call the Deputy Minister, Honorable Matale, to introduce the Minister. Thank you.
No, thanks very much, Program Director. Good afternoon, Minister, MEC, National Commissioner, Deputy National Commissioners, and Divisional Commissioners present here, Provincial Commissioner of the Free State, and all Provincial Commissioners present here. The Acting Secretary, invited guests, leaders of different farming organizations, including those who represented the farm dwellers, and everybody present here, organizers of the event. It's an honor and a privilege for me to take this opportunity as I request all of us to rise as I invite the Minister to address the closing session. Over to you, Minister.
You rise too much. Your sun rising. Can you be sunset, please? Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. Thank you, Deputy Minister, the MEC, the Secretary Acting, the National Commissioner of the South African Police Service, Deputy, Provincial Commissioners, top officials, my Executive Secretary Sharon would have said top dogs that are here, and all participants. When I looked at the original program, it tells us that we finish at 6. And I think we're finishing now. Not at 6. I just want to make some few comments before I try to work the way forward that I have canvassed it with the Deputy Minister and the National Commissioner as was seated there. There are terms here that I would love to find a proper understanding, Deputy Minister. Farms, farmers, farm workers, farm dwellers, farm communities. They're so interchangeable. For instance, I would like to know what is a farm dweller, what is a farm worker, what is a farm community. Maybe going forward, those are the things that we'll have to find out, so that when you deal with the matters, you deal with them from the point of understanding. What is a farm worker? What is a farm dweller? I don't know if there is legislative framework of that, or it's just natural and the proper understanding. But because you go somewhere and you have a war between farmers and farm dwellers. You go somewhere, you have a war between farm workers and farmers. You have a war between farm workers and farm dwellers. You have a war amongst the farming community. Please, find me the answer. That's the first. The second one. I think is Commission 6. One of their point was a dream. There is one man we know with a big dream. Somewhere that was assassinated, a man came with a big dream. I've got a dream, said Martin Luther King. So somebody came with a dream there. Very beautiful but inadequate. That dream of farmers working in a peaceful stable, working for their kids and their misses one thing, misses the stability of that community for that dream to be achieved. All these commissions didn't come close to the stability and social cohesion of the country. We did not come close to. Nobody spoke about it. Yesterday we raised the issue of unemployment, young people. Nobody tells what as this community are going to do about that. Nobody. Nobody. Nobody tells us how farmers are going to make sure that they create kindergartens, young people that will begin to understand what is farming and help them together with the government, so that instead of finding the outlet of criminality, they found the outlet of construction. Nobody did. Tell this commission, what are you going to do to contribute to the social cohesion and the stability and the peace? Peace and stability is not about law enforcement only. It's about conditions. And those conditions do not exist on this commission, 6 of them. There is a document called Integrated Crime and Violence Prevention Strategy. It's called ICVPS, has just been adopted by the cabinet. It says violence and crime is not only the job of the law enforcement, is across the government and society. So you'll have to find that document, all of you, and read it. That document will have to be part of this body. Program Director, I'll make some few suggestions. Maybe people can add on that as we go forward. The first speaker yesterday here came here and lambasted everybody about questions. Want to know what this has happened, what this, where was it? Therefore, we'll have to have a working committee from this body as we rise here. We have to have a working committee. We should have to meet more frequent rather than wait for a year. We have to have that working committee. One would even suggest that they meet quarterly, so that by the time we come back here, we don't ask the question, what has happened a year ago? That's the first proposal. I'm sure when we make some few discussions, we can make discussions around that. One would suggest that maybe the commissions, you can see how is it made. The commissions put 2 people in that cabinet, in that working committee. But also, it must not be dominated by one sector of life, either by farming or the police, but put almost everybody in it. So, if it's so, it's between 10 and 12 people. And that they'll come with their program. For now, I'll commit that the National Commissioner will see how is it funded on their work. Okay? That is second. Second, this committee, because all of you came with top 5, with top 3, which gives how many? 18. 18 top is too many. We need to reduce that maybe to 6 or 9. So this committee, in a week's time, as you rise with it here, must send us a full document of their top priorities in a week's time. 7 working days. Must reach the ministry and the management together with that committee. Thirdly, one thing that came across all commissions, Deputy Minister, is a poor communication. Therefore, you'll have to communicate about this. You'll have to communicate all things that you would have agreed upon here. We'll work on how that is happening. One thing that we'll have to agree upon is this top 6 or 9, by who, by when, and how, and monitored by this working committee. Not waiting for a year. Monitored by this working committee. This working committee must be given a leeway of creating ad hoc committee and special committee. For instance, somebody spoke about the conflict in the farms. It's no use when there is a conflict to start and send the police and the soldiers. So, which means you can have an ad hoc on the conflict management on the farm situation, rather than sending the police and the soldiers and dogs. Have in the farms this standing, either as a standing or ad hoc committee that will be called and serve under this working committee to work. Indeed, if people break the law, police and everybody will be called. But if people, they don't see eye to eye on the non-violent way, you don't have to send police. Because all of you here, you talk about the bad relationship between the police. And this bad relationship between the police and the community are caused by people that are not doing their work. Councillors don't do their work and they call the police. Our farmers and farm workers don't do their work and call the police. Do your work. Enzani umsebenzi wenu. Berekani. That reduces the conflict between the police and the communities. If all councillors, if all mayors, if all governments, if all have everybody does his or her work, there will be less conflict. You know, I've been listening to this. West Eastern Cape thing. There is a march now to the police station. It's a march to the police station. There's even a suspicion that there were younger than 13 kids there. This place is known. They drink until the next morning. They die 4 or 5 a.m. They march to the police station. Kosiam, avelelwa amaphoyisa. They are not marching to the parents. They are not marching to the liquor board. who granted the shipping in the middle of the residential area. They are not marching to municipality who extended the hours to the 6 in the morning. They are not marching to the shipping that has been running kids in the middle of the community. They are rushing to the police. So let's find the way of reducing area of conflicts between police and the farming community. That's why I said I want this explained. What is a farming community? So this ad hoc committee will work on there. Fourthly, Deputy Minister and the National Commission on Management will be giving a full report to the Cabinet of the Republic of South Africa about this event. We'll be giving a full report in a form of CAB or Cabinet Memorandum. We'll develop it. And we'll say to Cabinet, these, because quite several of departments were invited here, and we'll say, Mr. President, other Cabinet, these are the departments that we have invited. They did not turn up because maybe they were invited by their peers. But the Cabinet must take the decision that all these departments will be part of all these resolutions. Once it's taken by the Cabinet, nobody has an excuse of getting out of it. So that's the seriousness where we want to take this matter to. And then, I don't want to repeat this, but in the at one stage we took, there's been this big noise with flag, you know? There was a big noise here, flag, to a flag lighting. That decision was taken by Cabinet. But what Cabinet did not do is the cost of it. It's the cost of it. Now, we will want this project, as we submit, to be costed. This one. So that, as I said, the National Commissioner for now, these things we do going forward, as the police we might carry the can, but we want it to be costed so that all departments that the Cabinet will say you are responsible for this integrated approach in the farming, put your money in, so we'll have to cost it. So once it's costed, all departments put money and we are all running, we are all functioning on it. In costing it, we'll request that everybody put some money on it. Somebody came here, raised an issue to say it's quite expensive to repeat your security and all other things. We fully agree with you. Government will have to take a bigger can. But also, somebody will have to find his or her corner of his contribution. Sometimes it could not be even money-wise. For instance, if there are meetings with the farm workers, just to find them the accommodation to be in the meeting. But all of us, somebody puts it very well to say, all of us, let's put the shoulder on the wheel on this one. So that's the first thing, that we are escalating this coming together to the Cabinet and the government decision level. That's what we're going to do as the Ministry and Management of the South African Police. Fifthly, maybe this is a repeat. Fifthly, we prepare for this in a broader government level with more departments, because I I heard Department of Social Development, they tried to steal the thunder here. They really tried to steal the thunder, converting it to be GBV. We're not undermining GBV, but we are broader than GBV here. So that when you bring everybody in and also identify other fundamental departments that are supposed to be here. Such departments is transport. Everybody raised the issue of the roads in the farming community. Such is culture, especially with the traditional leadership, because some of the conflict do not come from farms. It comes from the neighboring traditional communities and spill over to the farms. Such a basic education, because there are conflicts that come from farming community education. So pull all those together. So please, maybe as I'm not rising this time here, as I'm sitting from here, let's get one, the working committee that will come from here. Their program is to pull together this in a week's time with the priorities and giving us ad hoc of how to do these things. Thirdly, when you have that document, we are developing our cabinet memo, because we'll have to attach that document to the cabinet memo. That this, Mr. President and the cabinet, this is what we have done. They were asking the cabinet to adopt this and be the government working document rather than the police working document. And fourthly, this committee, cabinet, this oversight working committee, tabulate things at the implementation and monitoring, and then as we prepare for a year down the line, we come back to report on things done, not to talk about things that were supposed to have been done. The next major meeting is a report back of things that would have been done by that time, coming from top 9 priorities. Can I stop there? I'll stop there and hear additions, subtractions, good, bad, and go home. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Honorable Minister. I think the marching orders have been given, and maybe at this point we can confirm the 2 members from each of the commissions, and let's document the names so it'll be easier to start working going forward. Commission 1.
If they are there, you have to stand up, stand here and see them.
All right, Commission 1, your 2 representatives, please come to the front.
I'm sorry, Commissioner. While I believe that this was, I would love to hear 1 or 2 comments coming from the floor on the way forward that I have put, just 1 or 2.
All right, the Minister would like comments coming from the floor on what was articulated and the suggestions of the Minister. I see a few hands. Mr. Ntuli, and then we'll go to the other end. You are noted, ma'am. You are noted. You may proceed.
Good afternoon, Minister, Deputy Minister. Safe to say all protocol observed. I'm Brigadier Tumi Masondo. I'm the section head for organized crime analysis in the intelligence environment. Minister mentioned very critical issues on the social fabric of our society. If we look at the incident in the Eastern Cape, we're looking at the ages of 6 up until 13, which means the children, the future of the country, is in a very serious crisis. Now, in our Committee 3 that was chaired by Mr. Mutembu, I raised those issues to say during the 2010 World Cup, we built stadiums around the country, and those facilities has not yet been utilized accordingly since then. Now, the suggestion was, can't we build boarding schools and rehabilitation centers around those, where now we're bringing in the Department of Sports and Culture, because we are not actually the same on the IQ levels of intellect. There are kids out there, a boy child and a girl child, who needs to be nurtured from that young age, instead of building prisons to take them to prison. I'm visualizing a South Africa that does not have street kids, where every child from the law enforcement agencies we see on the streets, we pick up and we take to the rehabilitation centers that are having boarding schools. The 350 rands that we're taking from social development can be able to feed these kids at those levels, in those facilities, in the rural areas, because some of them are children-headed households that does not have money to go anywhere. They can do agriculture around the facilities while we are rehabbing them. From the rehab, they go into a boarding school, and we're reducing the numbers that we are feeding into the correctional services of government. Now, Minister, those are the departments that I thought are very critical, that we have to sit with them. The curriculum from the Department of Education to accommodate the students who are interested in studying BSc in agriculture. The same organic food in the farming area that must be actually be planted will be done there. Thank you, Minister.
Ngizosherela mina manje le. Don't come back with your commission here. That's your commission. Can we get the comment on the way forward put on this table? And stop what you said in your commission. 5 points were made here. Make a comment on those points. In enhancement and facilitation of us taking this forward. Can we have those comments around that, please? Don't tell us who to akusho watini, batini. Just tell us what do you want to add on the way forward that has been suggested here. Thank you. I'm sorry for the kutita, but I think I want to make my point clear on this one.
Thank you, Minister. I think you're perfectly in order with that. Sir.
Thank you so much. I'm sure yesterday you would recall that this thing is making an echo. Yeah, I'm told now it's okay. Yeah, this is in order. I'm sure yesterday you heard that when the minister was referring to my previous life, that I'm coming from the taxi industry. We were together there, that's what he did not mention. Now, what is the strength of the taxi industry in particular? We don't make research when we see the development taking place, we come up with practical, doable solutions. So what is it that maybe I wanted to say in this regard? I think the minister is clear. Remember, one of the major problems is implementation. So now this point, the 5 key points that he mentioned, they speak about how are we going to execute what we have discussed. So I would therefore, Minister, want to say, if we cannot do the proposition that is on the table that says what needs to be done, who's going to do it, by what time, we would have missed the mark. It will become another talk show as usual. I was hoping that by now we will be rising with the names in respect of that. The structure that will be collaborative. But the other thing that he mentioned that I wanted clarity on, we have those people who are dealing with those 9 points, and they then formulate the ad hoc committees. I want just to get clarity on the issue of monitoring and evaluation, that those particular people, or are they monitoring themselves, or they're going to be monitored to make sure that those things that are planned are being implemented. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? It'll be nice to hear a comment from our stakeholders from the Farming Community. Minister, Deputy Minister?
No, thanks very much. I think the suggestion is saying, thanks Minister, Commissioner and everybody, the suggestion is saying, no, let's not open up. The minister's comments are appropriate. Let's bring the names. It's just that he added, or will they monitor themselves? Obviously, the minister, the national commissioner, must make sure these things happen. And when a meeting of this kind is called, it will be discussing progress where we are and adding new things that we think must be added. But for now, I think let's accept that proposal. Then we deal with those 2 names or 3 names from each commission, and then we proceed. Thank you. Thanks, Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. I think, shall we allow the chairpersons of each of the commissions a few minutes to go and consult and come up with the 2 names? The chairpersons, is it okay?
Because there are many Mapois are here and many farmers. We should not be dominated by each sector. Try to spread it.
To spread it, yes, yes, Minister. All right, let us not, like the Minister indicated. All right, there we go. Commission 3, Mark Ngwenya and Mr. Fouchier Burgers from BAC. You may please come forward. Thank you very much. Other commissions, do we have names? Chairpersons, please assist. From Commission 6, my commission, Mr. Makate, could you please come forward? Are you going to be members? No, I want. You want to say? Okay. I want to say something. Can you have the mic, please? Either from our own commission. Okay. All right. The suggestion here is let the commission take a decision on electing the member from that specific commission. All right. Then can we allow 5 minutes for that to take place? Will that be sufficient because of time constraints? Okay. With your permission, Minister, just 5 minutes. Thank you.
Must bring people.
Yes, thank you.
But it looks like Commission 3, they agree with their
Yes.
representatives.
Thank you, Minister.